The recent and the landmark judgment on respect of maintenance is Rajneesh versus Neha 2020 Supreme Court. The case is expected in the upcoming judicial exams. Let's start with the topic. The concept of maintenance is inculcated in a law by the legislature, keeping in view our basic social objective, that is social justice, given in our constitution. Social justice provides that all the resources in the society must be equally distributed and there must not be any accumulation of resources. If we understand maintenance in very simple language, it is the payment made by one person to another to fulfill their basic and essential amenities of life, keeping in view the state of parties. The person to whom maintenance is paid are generally the dependents of the person who made the maintenance or who paid the maintenance. Now, facts of the case are that the wife filed application for maintenance under section 125 of CRPC. During the pendency of the case, she made an application for interim maintenance for herself and for her minor child on 2nd of September 2013. The application of interim maintenance remained pending for 2 years in the trial court and 3 years in appeals. When the matter reached before the Supreme Court, the apex court was very disturbed with the circumstances and the peculiar facts of the case, that the application for interim maintenance, which is usually decided, should be decided within a period of 60 days, remained pending for years. So the court has taken up this opportunity to not only discuss the issue with regard to interim maintenance, but also the other controversial or disputed issues with regard to maintenance, which are overlapping of jurisdiction, maintenance of interim maintenance, criteria for determining the quantum of maintenance, date from which maintenance is to be paid, and enforcement of orders for maintenance. Now, the first issue is with regard to overlapping of jurisdiction. Now, the law with regard to maintenance is covered under different laws. Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Adoption and Maintenance Act, Special Marriage Act, Domestic Violence Act, and the Criminal Procedure Act. All these laws are made with specific objective. Now, the first two categories, that is Hindu Marriage Act and Hindu Adoption Maintenance Act, are applicable only on Hindus, whereas the last three laws, that is Special Marriage Act, Domestic Violence Act, and the Criminal Procedure Act, are applicable on all, irrespective of religion. Therefore, these are secular in nature. Now, the question arises in this case that if a person has already received maintenance under one law, whether he or she can claim maintenance under another law. For example, if a wife of a Hindu received maintenance under Hindu Marriage Act, now whether she can claim maintenance again under the Criminal Procedure Code. Now, if the court says yes, then it will create a burden upon the husbands. On this aspect, few different high courts have different opinions. Few says that the maintenance under different laws are distinct and independent. So a person has a right to claim maintenance under all laws, irrespective of the fact that he or she has already claimed maintenance under one law. And the amount of maintenance given under one law should not be adjusted or set off for maintenance given under another law. Others says that no, they are not distinct and independent. They should be considered as part of one aspect, that is maintenance, and the amount of maintenance given under one law should be set off or adjusted for the amount given under another law. Now, the Supreme Court in this case, after recognizing the burden or the harassment which the law creates upon the husband and the increasing litigation, has held that once a person has received maintenance under one law, he or she, while filing a case under another law, must disclose the fact of the previous case or the pending cases, the amount he or she has already received. The court has also imposed duty upon the court to adjust or set off the amount which the applicant has already received under another law. Now, by this judgment, it is a big relief to the husband who were uh, mentally traumatized and faced agony due to multiple proceedings for maintenance on the part of their wives. Now, the next issue was with regard to payment of interim maintenance. Now, the third proviso of section 125 of CRPC provides a period of 60 days to finally decide an application of interim maintenance. Whereas, if you go by the practical cases, we found that the application, even for interim maintenance, remained pending for years. Now, the reason for the pendency is first, that there are a burden of cases on the family courts. As a result, they can't deal with cases on regular basis. Second is the number of adjournments taken by the parties. Third, to assess the amount of the maintenance, the court needs to assess the accounts and the income and property of the parties. But parties usually in maintenance proceedings does not provide a complete account or complete information to the court. So the court, as a result, has to rely only on guesswork to decide the value of or the amount of maintenance. Now, to settle this issue, the court has laid down the guidelines, which are first, that whenever a party is filing for maintenance, he or she must file an affidavit of her or his income and property. Second, the respondent must file a reply within a time period of 4 weeks, and maximum 2 adjournments can be taken by the respondent. If the respondent fails to take or to give reply within the prescribed period, in that case, the court can proceed with the case and can pass order by relying on the application and the affidavit filed by the applicant. Another very progressive guideline given by the apex court in this issue is that government should appoint counselors in the family courts so that family courts can resolve the issue at an initial stage with the help of counselors. So by this way, the burden upon the family courts will reduce. Now the next issue is criteria for determining the quantum of maintenance. Now, what factors are to be considered by the court while deciding the amount of maintenance? Under few laws, the criteria is expressly provided, whereas in another laws like 125, no criteria is mentioned. Now, in this case, the court referred various judgments of apex court and the high courts on this matter, and finally laid down that the status of the parties, paying capacity of the non-claimant, wants of the claimant, independent source of income and property of the person who is applying for maintenance, any disability or ill health faced by the family, or we can say the children of the applicant, or by the applicant himself or herself, and the liabilities of the non-claimant are few factors which are always considered by the court while deciding the amount of maintenance. Now, there are two disputes or the issues with regard to the criteria. First is with regard to the wife, that if the wife is earning, whether she can claim maintenance. The court in this case held that the earning, when wife is earning, it will not be an absolute bar for the order of maintenance. But yes, the factors should be considered by the court while deciding the amount of maintenance, and the court will reduce the amount of maintenance accordingly. Next is maintenance to minor children, that whether the maintenance to minor children only should cover the basic amenities like food, clothing, residence, medical and education expenses, or it should also cover the other expenses. The court said that it should not only cover the basic and the essential amenities, but also expenses for extracurricular activities, coaching classes, and other vocational training classes. The respondent should pay for all this. Now, the next issue is the date from which maintenance is to be paid. Section 125, subsection 2 provides that the maintenance shall be payable from the date of order, or if so ordered, from the date of application for maintenance. Now, the wording of the legislature was bit ambiguous because if so ordered does not depicts whether it is applicable only in exceptional cases, or it grants a discretion to the court to choose between the two. Now, few courts are of the opinion that date of the order is the rule and date of the application is the exception. And whenever a court is exercising exception, the court needs to give reasons. But the apex court in this case held that keeping in view the sufferings of the applicant, which he or she will undergo during the pendency of the case, the order of maintenance should be from the date of application and not from the date of order. By this way, the court has made a uniform law which is applicable on all cases, and now it is no more a discretion of the court. Last and the very most important topic is enforcement of order for maintenance. That if a party fails or refuses to pay maintenance as per court's order, then what action can be taken by the court or by the party against the other person. Now, different views were put forward before the apex court, but the settled position is that if we go by the legislative provisions, we find that under Hindu Marriage Act, under Domestic Violence Act, under CRPC, specific provisions are inculcated for the enforcement of maintenance order. So those provisions should be applicable as in verbatim. Now, if we go by CPC, we also find provision for the enforcement of maintenance or money decree. Therefore, the court says that the order of the maintenance can also be enforced in the form of money decree with respect to CPC. Now, there was another contention of the parties that if a person fails to provide interim maintenance, then striking of defense should also be resorted by the courts as a rule. But the court refused to adopt this practice, and the court says that it will be more punishable to the respondent, and there is no express provision in the legislation. Therefore, we cannot inculcate or we cannot lay down this practice as a rule. But keeping in view the practical aspect and the hurdles or the obstacle which the applicant face at the hands of non-applicant, has held that striker of defense should be opted by the court, but only as a last resort. It should not be the first way to enforce the order of interim maintenance. So this is what all covered in Rajneesh versus Neha.